Welcome back, everybody. We got Jimmy Rogers, Dougie Cass, Don Bennett. Dougie, you were talking about money heaven a moment ago in relation to Bernard Madoff and all that went wrong. What were you referring to?
Well, as Jimmy says, there's not an issue, direct issue of redemptions because the money has been lost. So there are no securities to sell or redemptions to be received. There's nothing left, thanks to Freeling and Horowitz, their accountants, who are the modern-day equivalent of Max Bialystock and Leo Bloom.
Who are these guys? These are the ones. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Larry,
go ahead.
Larry, one thing is, there has to be more than just Madoff who knows this, because there were accountants, so they had to know it. And the people, or if there were no audited statements, the people who invested with this guy should never, ever have given him a penny.
Did his sons know it, Jimmy? Did his sons know it?
Yeah. I have no idea, but somebody besides Madoff knew. But, Larry, what you need to do is get Madoff on your show before he goes to jail.
This guy is...
Ask him, why not?
This guy's going to be otherwise detained for a while. But, Dougie Cass, I just want to close the circle, and then I want to get on to the commodities and the Fed. How much damage you reckon this will do to stocks? It is a big story. We may learn of other people who lost money. We may even learn of some funds, Dougie. I mean, are those possibilities?
The biggest problem, well, the whole landscape, particularly of the Jewish community in New York City and South Florida, where I live in Palm Beach, has changed. I mean, this has dramatic financial, social, and economic ramifications. The real problem is in these feeder funds, Larry. These are basically fund of funds. Most of them are abroad, like Fairfield Century, that leveraged Madoff 3-to-1 through companies like Nomura Bank.
All right.
So this is a big concern, and that's how you get from their $17 billion of managed assets to a potential liability in excess of $50 billion. That's bigger than Enron, Tyco, Boesky, and Bayou altogether.
All right, so there may be some issues left. We may have gotten off easy today. Keep our eyes open. That's what you're advising. Now, let me put on the chart du jour, commodities and the dollar. What we have seen in the last week or so, really, the yellow line is the commodities index. It's up about 6% since December 5th. The blue line is the dollar. I believe that's the DXY dollar index. That is down about 4%. Don Bennett, you have been preaching the metals mining play. Is this money heaven for you, or is this just a little dead cat bounce?
This is money heaven for me and for my clients and for the long term for anybody else who wants to get in. Remember, when the federal government prints money, that's dilutive to the dollar. That helps gold, base metals, pretty much all natural resources.
Do you think the Fed's going to go too far in their money printing?
Sure
That's
they are.
one of the messages
sure they
here.
Are. Absolutely.
Larry, they have gone too far.
Quantitative easing and monetary easing also weakens our dollar, but it helps natural resources. Play what works.
But, Jimmy Rogers, you may be right that they printed too much money. On the other hand, it's been a terrible year for commodities. You acknowledge that. Your fund is way down. The commodity market is in a shambles, Jimmy. Why is this that the Fed has printed so much money?
There is forced liquidation of everything. The fundamentals of commodities, they're not down because of the fundamentals. They're down because of forced liquidation of every single asset, except the Japanese yen. That's the only reason they're down. You're supposed to buy when you have selling climaxes like that and the fundamentals have improved.
Are you
Granted, they're down.
Are you a long-term buyer of commodities, metals, and mining, and gold? Let me throw gold in, too.
I bought more of all commodities, oil last week and all commodities this week. Larry, went throughout history when governments have printed this money, it has led to higher prices. Unless it is different this time, the prices are going to be much higher. We're going to have an inflationary nightmare in the next 5 years in the world, not just in America.
All right, fair enough. But, Dougie Cass, most people, including yourself, have argued the deflationary side with a credit deflation and a commodity deflation and a loan deflation. Do you believe, Doug, that we are entering this reflation, inflation problem?
No, I think that the government checkbook is allowing for healing, but it's serving to crowd the private sector into an awkward and a much less productive corner.
Right.
So that the recovery in commodities and economic growth will be muted by certainly by historic standards.
And short-lived. All right. I'm sorry we're running short, gentlemen. I apologize, but I think you got your messages out. Dougie Cass, Don Bennett, Jim Rogers.